New York Times, like CNN, hates the Babylon Bee because oftentimes it gets the news more accurate than CNN in the New York Times and also gets a laugh out of people. Listen to how they characterize the Babylon Bee. Satire kept popping up as a blind spot for Facebook in 2019 and 2020. The site often dealt with far-right misinformation sites that used satire claims to protect their presence on the platform. For example, the Babylon Bee, a right-leaning site sometimes trafficked in misinformation under the guise of satire. I kid you not, that's how they describe it. Now they linked to a piece back in October 11th of 2020 with one of their first big attacks on the Babylon Bee, saying that the Babylon Bee hasn't stopped making jokes at Mr. Trump's expense when they're sure to lose clicks and Twitter followers. One recent headline was Trump agrees to remove swimsuit competition from SCOTUS nomination process, but they're more apt to jab the other side. Like many conservative commentators who once expressed disbelief or outrage at Mr. Trump, the Bee has found those criticisms easy to set aside for the most part. What unifies writers and readers is stronger, poking fun at the left. Oh, so that makes them a misinformation website. Now, Facebook has come after the Babylon Bee. Snopes, the fact checker Snopes, they come after the Babylon Bee, and CNN has, and the reason is not because they're peddling misinformation. The reason is because the Babylon Bee is consistently funnier and better able to capture the news than many of these sites. Let's see. I'm going to the Babylon Bee right now. Here's what their top headline: Progressive Christian hopes heaven will feature segregated spaces for every tribe, tongue, and nation. There's a quiz. What gender are you? Latest headlines: Biden visits southern border to play Despacito for migrant kids in cages. Despacito? I don't know. I'm too old. Happiest place on earth bans all expressions of happiness. New Snyder cut of the Bible contains over 47 deleted scenes. Putin challenges Biden to stair climbing contest. Instead of traditional warfare, Chinese military will now be trained to shout wrong pronouns at American troops. The Chinese military has announced they will no longer be investing in weapons, tanks, aircraft, or traditional warfare training techniques. Instead, the People's Liberation Army will simply be trained to shout the wrong pronouns at U.S. soldiers, who will collapse and shake uncontrollably at the advanced maneuver. Brave soldiers of the People's Liberation Army, prepare to launch a pronoun assault, cried one platoon leader in a training exercise. Go! The Chinese soldiers then began shouting he, him, and she, her at American soldiers whom Biden had loaned to the Chinese government for the practice session. They immediately collapsed to the floor. No! I'm a Caesar! It says so on my dog tags! Screamed one weeping American soldier huddled in the corner of the fetal position, rocking back and forth. You can't call me the wrong pronoun. It's literally violence. It's against the Geneva Convention, said another. And yet, see, the left is like, oh, the onion, it skewers the right. It's not misinformation. Essentially, what the left says is misinformation is any site with a sense of humor that pokes fun at the left. It's misinformation, according to the New York Times. See, but they got to get it in. They got to balance it somehow. They've got to make it balance. And so the balance is, well, this left-wing site, Facebook says is distributing misinformation, when really it's satire because it pokes fun at the right. The Babylon Bee, however, which pokes fun at the left, it's misinformation because it pokes fun at the left. The Babylon Bee actually pokes fun at pretty much everybody, including President Trump. And the New York Times did a multi-thousand word profile of the Babylon Bee, seriously confused at how this site pokes fun at Donald Trump, but doesn't poke fun at Donald Trump, but does poke fun at Donald Trump, but doesn't poke fun at Donald Trump. They couldn't make up their mind in the story.